Okay, so let's do the scissors block. I have it laid out here, and I have the easy corner triangles on each side of the blade. Now, when you lay this block out, notice that this gray piece looks like this, and there goes to a point down here. And I'm just pointing that out so because it would fit into the block if you had them turned this way, but obviously that would be wrong. It would look really strange when you sewed them together. So when you have it laid out after doing your easy corner triangles, make sure that that gray looks just like this gray on top there. So it's just a matter of sewing these two together, this row together, and then each handle separately. So I'm going to start with the blades. And I do want this to, so I'm going to put my needle down because I want to make sure that those line up right there. So I pull it down or whatever I have to do to make it work. And if that doesn't work, then I'll unsew it and start again. And then same thing for these two pieces. Want to make sure they're lined up right on top of each other that way, and then I'm going to flip it over and start on the corner. Okay. I just want to get this bottom section finished first before we start on the handles. A good press open there. Looks good. Okay, so I need to sew these two ends on, then it will match up so that I can sew here. I'm going to sew the other end on the other side and press them both at the same time. Okay. I'm going to give these a press. When you lay it out, make sure it's going like this, like scissors do, instead of turned like that. And I will pin this intersection with my double pin. So that it won't shift on me. I like pinning both seams on both sides of the seam at the same time, which is why I really like these double pins. Okay. Okay, I'm almost right to the pin, and I just slide it out straight. Line up the ends of the seam and continue on. Okay, here's the moment of truth. We'll see if it matched up. I think that looks pretty good. So I'll go ahead and press it. And also remember, in this intersection, if you're worried that it's not going to match up exactly, remember we place a button right there after the quilt is quilted. Sometimes that can hide a little bit. Okay, so the bottom section is complete. Now we'll do the handles. So what I need to do with this is just sew the two side pieces on here. So I'm going to do them at the same time. Then I'm going to go ahead and add the other side before pressing. Flip it over so the seams are up. Just try to do everything when you're piecing to control what goes under that needle instead of just running it through and guessing and hoping it comes out okay. Really try at this point to be the boss of your own quilt block and make it fit. If you know you cut correctly and you're doing a correct 1/4 inch seam, then you can just make sure it all lines up. Okay. Give that side a quick press. Open up this side. And then I like to hold my iron down on both. Bring that over. Lay it flat to cool. These scissors handles have a lot of piecing in them, so I like to make sure I press open to get them nice and flat. If you press to one side, they might look fine, but when you measured your block after it was all sewn together, it might be distorted a little bit because of those folds taking up space in the seam allowance. So I'm going to flip this over so I can see all those seams on the top. And I'm just sewing the top and the bottom pieces. Okay. Again, I'm going to add on the other end, but you have to make sure that they're going this way and the other way, opposite ways, so that you don't have one upside down on you. So when I'm sewing through the machine, I also make sure that this is flat instead of sewing crooked like this. It really helps to not distort your blocks if you're aware of not just what's going under here, but also what's here on this side. Okay, I'm going to press the other side at the same time, but get that first seam open. Okay, so I know this one goes on this side because of the easy corner triangle is on all three outside corners and not down here. Sometimes it's hard to get those seams open, but I make it work. Okay, so now we need to sew this on both sides of this center piece. Making sure I don't sew any points off by looking through that open-toed foot exactly where my needle is going. And again, I'd be doing this with all of the scissors at the same time so that I'm not stopping and starting so much, but I'm just showing you one block at a time, so a lot of stopping and starting. Okay, add to the other side. Okay. One good press there before I join to the top. Let's see, I'll probably have this on the bottom so I can watch all these seams. As I go through, I'm just going to check and make sure everything is centered, and this seam right here I'm going to want right in the middle of this white piece. So I'm going to grab a pin and then ease my seam right between that pin, and then I'll worry about the other side once I cross it. Okay. One last stopper squares. Okay, everything's centered. You can see how that's in the center and these are lined up right here. So we can go ahead and press it. And smooth it out. Stick a ruler on there. And the scissor block is complete.